Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the invisible mechanics of the web. We're going to explore a technology that absolutely defines your online experience, yet operates entirely in the background. Okay, let's dive into this. We all know the drill, right? You land on a brand new website, maybe you're looking for an article, maybe a new pair of shoes, and boom, a massive banner drops down, completely blocking your view, asking for your consent. For most of us, it's a universally frustrating experience. So what do? We just smash that accept all button as fast as humanly possible just to make the thing go away. But have you ever stopped to wonder what that single lightning-fast click actually triggers? I mean, what kind of machinery is spinning up behind the scenes the exact millisecond you give your permission? Well, to figure that out, we first need to understand what exactly we're accepting. Despite the delicious-sounding name, an HTTP cookie is definitely not a baked good. Sadly, no chocolate chips here. And contrary to some of those wild early internet rumors, it is absolutely not a virus, and it's not some program that scans your hard drive. A cookie is literally just a tiny text file, usually no bigger than 4 kilobytes. You see, the foundational protocol of the internet, HTTP, is what we call stateless. Basically, it has amnesia. Every single time you load a new page or click a link, the website treats you like a complete stranger. So cookies were invented to give the web a memory. Think of them like a digital sticky note that a website slaps onto your browser so it can actually recognize you the next time you drop by. Let's take a quick look at how this evolved, because the history here is pretty fascinating, and it moves really fast. Back in 1994, the internet was just starting to figure out e-commerce, but they hit a massive technical hurdle. Because the web had no memory, virtual shopping carts were literally impossible. If you put an item in a cart and clicked over to the checkout page, the cart would just instantly empty itself out. But jump to 1996, and the media, specifically the Financial Times, was already sounding the alarm about the privacy implications of these new tracking files. Fast forward to 2011, and lawmakers in both the US and Europe realized this underlying tech needed some serious regulation, which officially kicked off the era of modern internet privacy laws. And the origin story here is just brilliance. The cookie was actually created by a 23-year-old engineer named Lou Montulli. At the time, he was working at Netscape, one of the earliest web browsers. Montulli was actively trying to solve that exact shopping cart problem we just talked about. But what's really incredible here is that Montulli actively wanted to protect user privacy. His original architecture was designed specifically to prevent tracking across different websites. He intended for the cookie served by one site to be completely invisible to another site. It was just meant to be a helpful, totally isolated memory bank. Looking back on his invention, Lou Montulli actually said, "It's 1 week of my life that turned into the most important thing that I ever did." And honestly, that is a profound statement. Those few lines of code, written over just a couple of days in 1994, revolutionized the entire internet experience. I mean, they made modern e-commerce, user logins, and personalized settings possible. But as Montulli himself realized a few years down the line, that exact same technology inadvertently laid the groundwork for an incredibly complex, multi-billion-dollar digital tracking industry. So to really grasp this, we need to understand the two main flavors of cookies. First up, we have first-party cookies. These are set directly by the website you're actually visiting. Think of them as your helpful assistants. They're the ones that keep you logged in, remember your language preferences, and hold on to those items in your shopping cart. But then we have third-party cookies. These are placed by a completely different domain than the one you're currently visiting. You can think of these guys as gossipy trackers. They're placed by advertisers, social media widgets, or analytics scripts that are just embedded on the page, and they literally follow your browser across the internet, hopping from site to site. Which brings us to the marketing technology industry. See, ad networks essentially rent space on various websites, which allows them to place their own third-party cookies or invisible tracking pixels right onto your machine. Over time, as you bounce around visiting news sites, shopping blogs, and forums, these third-party cookies are quietly compiling a highly detailed behavioral profile on you. They log what you read, what you buy, your location data, even your specific interests. And that profile, that's exactly what's used to serve you those hyper-personalized ads that always make you wonder, wait, is my phone listening to me? Let's take a look at how this builds into even more complex territory. Now, your standard cookies can usually be deleted pretty easily, but as tracking became big business, the technology got way more aggressive. Enter the super cookie. Unlike normal cookies that are tied to a specific website, super cookies embed themselves way higher up at the network level, like right at your internet service provider, which makes them nearly impossible to shake. Oh, and it gets wilder. There are things like flash cookies, which hide completely outside your browser's standard cookie storage and can hold way more data. Some trackers even use what are known as zombie cookies. These actually hide backup copies of themselves in hidden folders so they can instantly resurrect the second after you hit delete. Creepy, right? Because of all these invisible cross-site profiling tactics, regulators eventually had to step in. Major privacy laws like the GDPR in Europe and similar acts in places like California fundamentally changed the rules of the game. They mandated that websites cannot just drop non-essential behavioral tracking cookies onto your device without getting your explicit informed permission first. And that piece of legislation is the exact reason why the entire web is currently blanketed in those annoying cookie consent banners. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the actual mechanics of consent. We've talked a lot about what cookies are, but let's go back to that banner for a second. You're staring at the screen, you move your mouse, you click Accept All. In the exact milliseconds after your mouse clicks that button, a massive, highly synchronized digital chain reaction goes off. Here is the technical choreography of what's happening. The moment a web page first loads, a piece of software called a Consent Management Platform, or CMP, springs into action. Its first job is to act like a strict bouncer at a club. It intercepts and blocks all non-essential tracking scripts from running. They are completely frozen. Then you click Accept. The CMP immediately logs your choice. Finally, acting like a high-speed air traffic controller, the CMP sends a signal to the tag management system, giving it the green light. Instantly, all those paused scripts, your Google Analytics, Metapixels, ad trackers, they're released, they execute, drop their cookies, and boom, your data begins flowing to servers all around the world. But clicking that button isn't just about getting a pop-up out of your way. It is actually a formal, legally binding act. When the CMP logs your consent, it creates an audit trail. This is a highly secure, tamper-proof database record that notes a unique user ID, the exact timestamp of your click, exactly which categories of tracking you allowed, and even the specific version of the privacy policy that was active at that precise second. Under the law, the burden of proof is entirely on the website owner to prove that you consented, and this highly detailed database is their ultimate legal shield. But, the landscape is shifting right under our feet. We are rapidly entering what people are calling the cookieless future. Major browsers are now actively blocking third-party cookies by default to protect user privacy. But make absolutely no mistake, tracking is not dying, it is simply evolving. Companies are just shifting their tactics. They're starting to ask you for data directly through quizzes and surveys. They're also heavily using server-side tracking, which means instead of tracking you in your browser, where you can actually see it, the website secretly passes your data to advertisers through behind-the-scenes back channels. And instead of using cookies, they're moving towards systems like Unified ID 2.0, which, crazy enough, essentially turns your login email address into a permanent, encrypted tracking beacon. Which brings us to our final thought. For roughly 30 years, the humble HTTP cookie gave the web a memory, but it also fueled an entirely new economy of surveillance. Now, as the technology shifts away from a simple text file on your local computer and moves directly into the heavily guarded servers of massive tech companies, the whole social contract of the web is being rewritten. So, as this tracking becomes more deeply embedded and way less visible in our daily browsing, we really have to ask ourselves, who actually controls your digital footprint? It's definitely something to think about the next time you blindly click Accept All.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more How Meets History.